good?
What up, Chad?
It's good, man.
How you, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Staying busy. How y'all, man?
All is well, brother. All is well, you know?
Okay.
All is well.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, brother.
No doubt. Good to be back, man. Good to see y'all again.
Definitely.
That's what's up. Okay,
Okay.
let's set it off.
All them things, man.
Exactly, you know we gotta come out the
All
intro.
the boys do, man.
You know the B139, you know we Harlem, nigga.
Yeah, you know.
Exactly.
That go all the way back to the 60s,
Exactly. You know, start the show. This is a show.
Catch us on the Wednesday, it's Liddy on the hump day. Listen in your car, got the Beamer or the Hyundai. Facebook Live, we live and direct. You can call and kick it with us, we show respect. Yo, a lot of topics, we always got it poppin'. You know we neighborhood, we always kicking knowledge. Yeah, that's the stilo we do for the people. Flagger than the eagle, we ordinary people. We be kicking in, cause you know we living in. Come and catch a vibe, cause it's live, come and witness it. We down for each other no matter the weather. It's the beat 139, cause Harlem stick together, what's up?
Hey, bring it back, Doc. Bring it back. Uptown Hall, that's what we do. Alright, the B139.
Harlem on the rise, yo, we love to get the money. This a podcast, you can catch us being funny. Yeah, from 7 to 9, we Liddy and live. So stop everything, this is serious vibe. Catch us on the Wednesday, it's Liddy on the hump day. Listen in your car, got the Beamer or the Hyundai. Facebook Live, we live and direct. You can call and kick it with us, we show respect. Yo, a lot of topics, we always got it poppin'. You know we neighborhood, we always kicking knowledge. Yeah, that's the stilo we do for the people. Flagger than the eagle, we ordinary people. We be kicking in, cause you know we living in. Come and catch a vibe, cause it's live, come and witness it. We down for each other no matter the weather.
It's the B139.
Cause Harlem stick together.
What up?
Yeah.
What up, Doc?
It's good.
What up?
Yeah, man.
What up, Amir?
What's going on, man? It's good.
About to get it in.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, welcome to the Beat 139. I'm Doc.
I'm Don Vito. What's good? How y'all feeling? I'm feeling good today, you know?
No doubt.
You know, we got our second guest for the second week. We back to B139. Every week we rock it. Y'all know what time it is. We got over 2 million views on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? We had over 400 guests come through. You understand what I'm saying? Go to YouTube channel, subscribe, like, share, and check it out, the B139. What up?
Hit that like button and subscribe.
Subscribe.
Absolutely.
Harlem.
You know, we got my man Amir Williams in the building.
What's
You
going
know,
on?
actor, you know, author. You know, I'm gonna let him tell the rest though. You know, he's been on, All My Children, Different World. You know, numerous amounts of movies and films and stuff like that. So welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, brothers. Thank you. Thank you.
What up?
Yeah.
What's going on, man? I'm glad to be back.
Yeah,
Thanks
good to
for
see
having
you
me.
healthy and all that stuff, you
Yeah,
know?
man, keeping busy, you know, keep creating, keep busy, you know, and you got to keep busy. Everything going on with the pandemic, man, things keep changing around us, and so you got to keep creative. If you're a creative, you got to stay making things, stay busy, so you can keep your spirits up, man. Keep going forward.
Yeah, they playing this number game with us, man. They be tripping me out, man. You know, like the kids, you know, you can go to school, now they want to close the schools. It's like, why did you open the schools in the first place?
Well, see, like, I think that they already knew what they was going to do a long time ago. And I think that for the people that's in power, like the governor and things like that, they just don't want to be blamed for having kept it shut down too long. So they want to get on record as saying, all right, I'll let y'all go back to work, I'll let y'all go back to school, and it didn't work. But I think they already planned to keep it shut
So I
down.
want to ask y'all two brothers something real quick. Because y'all got kids,
Yeah.
younger kids, you know? I got older kids. So how's it affecting y'all? We're going to start with you, Doc, then we go there. How's it affecting you, or is it affecting you when they do that with the school system?
Yeah, the homeschooling, because now you have to find somebody watching them and make sure they, doing what they're supposed to do. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
It costs you more money instead of them being in school. It's going to cost them. Now you figuring somebody being there 9 hours.
Yeah.
It's not the regular 2 hours somebody watching them.
Yeah.
It's different.
That's a fact. And for the concentration, like if you work at home, like I do a lot of work from home, and so like my 5-year-old, to try to keep him on online school, you gotta almost do it with them because you gotta make sure they're doing their assignments and they staying on. And sometimes they're 5, they don't feel like doing this, and now they're moving around and you trying to do your work. Like, it's really crazy. But the way they got it now. At first, when I heard the hybrid thing, I'm not gonna lie. At first, when I heard the hybrid thing, I was like, man, that sounds crazy. That ain't never gonna work. But at least they get an opportunity to do it a little bit. Like my son, he goes Thursday and Friday. You know what I mean? So he gets an opportunity to do it, a little bit and then a little bit home. So I mean, I guess that's the best that you could do until we figure out what's going on. But it is trying. It is difficult. Try to keep them focused. Try to keep yourself focused while you got the child's energy at home. It's an adjustment, but you do what you got to do, man.
So let's open the show, right? Tell everybody who you are and tell them, what you've done with your career, and then we're gonna bring it back to how you came up with the story. We're gonna walk it through.
No doubt. Well, my name is I go by AJ Williams when I'm writing. My name is Amir Jamal Williams. I'm an actor. I started my acting career when I was 2 years old. Did that for many years. I directed my first play in 2016. Released my first novel in 2017, and now I released my second book. So I'm an author. I'm a playwright. Like I said, a director, I acting coach. So, I got a lot of hats, but it all revolves around being creative. And so, like I said, I started my acting career when I was 2. I did that till I was 18. And, I've always been writing since I was really young. And the last few years, I just, started to really take it seriously and put myself out there.
So you just opened the story for us right now. So let's go back to when you was 2 and bring it up.
Yeah.
So you was 2. What you was doing? What did you acting?
Well, my mother was a Broadway actress, so she was already, dancing, and from young she was a dancer and flying around the world and stuff like that. And actually, what happened is she had to do a job, and she had to bring me a commercial. And when they saw me, they wanted me to be involved and stuff. And after that, she got me an agent, and I had an agent ever since I was 2 years old. First started doing commercials. And then when I was 6 years old, I got a role on A Different World, the first season of A Different World. Flew out to LA and lived there.
How old was you then?
About 6. Yeah, 6. So flew out to LA and lived there for like 6 months. And, at that time, Loretta Devine, shout out to Loretta Devine, who's still working. She got a new movie called Spell with Omari Hardwick. So check that out. She's still in the game after all these years, but she played my mother. And so I got,
in A Different World.
Yeah. So when I was there, of course, Kadeem Hardison, Jasmine Guy, Lisa Bonet, Marissa Tomei, Dawn Lewis, Ron Howard, all those people were there. And, Bill Cosby was there because he was executive producer, so he was walking around the set and stuff. So that was my first, big thing that I did.
So how was that feeling to be around all them people,
The funny thing is, it was great. To be my age and to be around, all of those people acting, of course, it was a great experience. And then living in LA for a time was a great experience. But the funny thing is, I don't think I really started to appreciate what I was doing or what I was experiencing until much older, reflecting backwards. Because when I was in the game, I was working. It was usual for me because that's what I had been doing since I was 2, and my mother was in it too. So because of that, I wasn't like, oh my God, I'm so glad. Like I was just working.
At 6 years old, you really don't realize
that's what I'm saying. But I have great memories of it. I remember a lot of things that I experienced doing that. So I did that, and then when I came home, I continued to do stage plays and things like that. And then when I was about 12, I got my role on My Children, playing Jamal Wilson, the adopted son of Tom and Olivia Cuddy. And I stayed there for a few years, and of course that was an excellent opportunity and an excellent experience to remember. Matter of fact, they just had a reunion for a couple of those members on what's the name of the joint? Kelly and
Kelly at the
Kelly
talk show?
Yeah, because Kelly Ripa was on it when I was there.
Yeah.
She played Stewart's
That's how
daughter.
she met her.
Yeah, exactly. So she had him, my older
yeah.
brother, Dondre Whitfield. You know him, he was on Cosby Show and all of that.
Sinbad was on it too, right?
Not when I was there, that came later.
The Sinbad,
I was on the
yeah,
first season. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, shout out to Sinbad.
Man, so that was a dope experience. I got to be on New York Undercover, did a number of TV movies, and got to be in movies. I did a movie called Daybreak with Cuba Gooding Jr., Omar Epps, Martha Plimpton. I did a number of TV movies. Like I said, I was on New York Undercover twice, Law and Order. I even got to voice a cartoon on the MTV show Daria. You know what I'm saying? So I got to do a lot in my career. Got to meet a lot of different people, and that was cool. That was dope.
Because they say normally when you start as a kid, it hurts you when you get older because you get stagnated at that.
It definitely can happen. I mean, different people experience different challenges. You know, a lot of child actors, they're exposed to drugs and stuff like that young. In my case, you know, my parents had a close eye on me, and you know, I wasn't really mixing with people by myself. I mean, even though I was around a lot of adults, most of the jobs I did was mostly just adults and me. But I never experienced any drugs or anything like that. But in terms of as you grow older, yeah, there definitely is a transition because, you know, roles change, the demand for roles change, especially for people of color. And, you know, you might get to a point where you're not really working. And, you know, that happened for me. And, you know, I decided to leave also. So, you know, to support myself, I start taking regular jobs. And that, of course, is a shock because, you know, from a kid, if you're taking limos and you're skipping school and flying places, you know, that's how I grew up. So now to be, you know, being a security guard or, you know, doing this and doing that and adjust, that's a real adjustment.
Why did you decide to leave?
For a number of reasons. I mean, you know, like I said, roles changed. You know, I started at that time in my life being about 18 years old, 17, 18. I started, you know, focusing on spirituality more, and I started studying and learning things. And so that became like my focus. And since there wasn't really a demand for me at that time anyway, I felt like after 16 years of the game, at that point, being 18, I've been doing it 16 years. So at that point, I was like, man, I want to be, that's when I kind of started to formulate the idea of wanting to direct. Because I'm like, I want to have more control over being, what roles I play and, you know, what is seen there. And that's when I first started to formulate the idea of wanting to be a screenwriter and wanting to be behind the camera. And so, you know, but at that time I left and, you know, unfortunately, to be real, I really didn't have a plan of what I wanted to do otherwise because I'd always been in this game and I never thought about another career path, you know, so I just took regular jobs and, you know, rocked it out like that. A few years later, I was married and, you know.
You was the only child growing up?
No, I have a brother. He's about 9 years behind me. So yes. But you know, for a long time, you know, it was me and yeah, that's how my plan was. I didn't really plan to do anything else.
So when you left the television and you took the odd jobs, what?
Yeah, so after a while, I think there was a job that I got fired from. There was a death. My grandfather died. We were really close at that time, and you know, I decided to leave that job because I wanted to, you know, support my family and stuff like that in the time, and you know. After that happened, there wasn't really nothing there, and I've been married about 9 months. We had our own place, and so, you know, I started to feel like the pressure of, you know, not being employed and trying to look for something and nothing was happening, and so that's when I made the move.
What move?
The move that we talked about last time, which I see him. You see how he segues real smooth into he's leading me, right? So yeah. So
they need to hear your story. That's that's gonna help you sell a book. That's gonna help people to get the film. You know, shit, life. You know, it is what it is. You know,
no doubt. So I came up with the idea to rob this bank out in New Jersey, and you know that of course it went wrong that day. I came out. The police were waiting for me. Some signals.
So hold. Before you get into how that went, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I want to know. Like most people, when they get down on their luck, they might start hustling or something, or you know, get little odd 2, 3, 4 jobs.
Yeah.
Why bank?
It's funny. I mean, a lot of people have asked me that since it happened, and I think one of the reasons that I didn't think about hustling as such is because I didn't have that influence around me, so I wouldn't have known even where to start. I didn't even think about, you know, that was an option. You know what I'm saying? To me, it was just like, yo. The money's in there, man.
It's quick.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
You go right to where the money at, huh?
no chasing, man. It's straight, a straight line.
So did you stake the joint? I mean, how it went, man?
Actually, what happened is I looked at a couple joints. At this time, I was 22 years old, so I looked at a couple joints, and the joint that I chose was like small, no security, and I went in there like 5 minutes before it was about to close, situation like that. Had the little joint in the bag, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yo, I want this amount.
Are you by yourself?
Yeah. So I was like, I want.
Did you plan your getaway, or you just said, I'm going to do what I got to do?
Nah, it was a question of like just blending in. Like, I wanted it to be as smooth as drawing little attention to the situation as possible. So it wasn't even like, there's a car or anything like that. Like I was just on some like get in, get out, and then somebody must have made a signal.
So you ain't pull the joint out?
Nah, what I did was I had a bag, and I told her to look in the bag. She looked in it, and I was like, I want this amount, and watch it go to the vault and get it. And she gave it to me, no dye packs or nothing like that. And when I left, but they must have made some kind of signal that I didn't see. Because 2 officers were outside. It had 2 entrances, and the one in the back was attached to a parking lot. So I walk outside, and the 2 officers were there, and they were like freeze or whatever. Man, I just bolted on them. Went to a building. They surrounded the building.
But you ain't look around before you made your move?
In terms of like coming out?
No, in terms of the 2 officers. You ain't look around before
Nah, I mean, as soon as I came out, they were right there. Like it was like the way it was set up was there was a parking lot in the back of the bank, and they had their squad car parked in there, and they were outside the car. Like,
wow,
so they had already known something was going on and was just waiting for me to come out. So I like ran, and like it was like an angle, like a triangle. We were like, I just made it past them. They got through like the middle of a gate, and like cinematic, man. I'm telling you, man. If you didn't know me, you think I was making it up. Cinematic, man. SWAT, dogs, and taping off the area, snipers. I didn't even find out about all of that until later when I read the paper.
So did you ever find out how did you get caught? Because you said you showed the lady the bag.
Yeah,
and you told her
I mean, one of the reasons why, exactly. So I never found out. I never found out, but it must either somebody called or maybe they had a button that I didn't see. And while she was passing by, one of the other tellers might have made a smooth signal because I was really watching her because she had to go to the back. So but
So you said sniper?
How much was it?
60,000.
60,000.
So hold on, you said something about a sniper?
Yeah, later. I didn't see, of course, but later on when I read the paper, there was a sniper involved. Once I got to the building and I was holed up in there for a little while. Yeah, it was
That's kind of odd for a person to come to live the lifestyle you live. Wasn't a street guy.
Yeah.
And to do that, a lot of street guys be scared to go on the banks.
That's what I heard. I mean, once I got locked up and I started, being around dudes that had been in there a long time.
Because I mean, not to say anything, but I would never think about going in no bank, man.
A lot of street guys.
A lot of them said that they'd be like, yo, I used to be in these, I would top people up, but I never went in the bank. I was like, yo.
Dudes will shoot another, brother quick.
Yeah.
Lay something down quick.
Yeah.
A tile, another dude up quick.
Yeah.
Run into stash houses, do all that.
Yeah.
But dudes, like a lot of dudes don't go up in that bank like that.
Yeah.
Like you said, that's where the money is.
So what happened when you ran out? What happened?
So I was in the building for a couple of hours, and then they started to do floor searches. So I tried to escape through the back and whatever, and the area that I was in it was a predominantly white area. So they were kind of grabbing everybody black, and after they grabbed me and held me, they brought the officers that chased me to like ID me, and then from then it was a wrap. So then later on they tossed the place and found money and all of that. And so from there I bailed out after a while, like maybe a week and a half. Family got the money together and I bailed out, and at that point I was facing 20 years for that. You know what I mean? And then later on I got knocked again. About 4 months later.
You got knocked again
for a conspiracy to robbery. There was a couple of people.
So you was out on bail and you wouldn't make another move. I
got indicted, but it never came to anything. Right. A couple of people got knocked doing a series of banks, and when they got to their third bank, they got caught, and they said they were working for me.
No, wow.
So now I had a conspiracy charge for robbery, and then I had my own personal robbery. So it was 20 years for each of those joints. So that was a stressful time. You know what I'm saying? And then in that period, that's when I started, making moves and doing whatever. But yeah, that was a tough period.
How did your mom feel?
Like, oh man,
I know your neighborhood was shocked.
That was rough, man. That was rough. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was on bail for close to 3 years because the initial offer was 17 years. And then, as judges changed and time changed and stuff like that, but they were being really stiff. And in New Jersey, because of the gun, it was considered a violent crime, so it was 85%. So, after I had been on jail that long and I was on my 5th judge, then they were like, all right, we're gonna pick a jury, or you take, 9 with 85. So I took that, I got to that, and at sentencing, the judge can give you either go up or go down based on the range. So the range for that was 5 to 10. So he came down a year and gave me 8. So I ended up doing like 7 years. Yeah.
7 from 20 is a big difference.
No doubt. But I mean, it was just me, to be quite honest. I mean, it was a blessing, of course, but also it was me being tenacious because, the PD, I ended up having a PD after, losing money, and PD was trying to encourage me to take almost every offer. I'm like, my first charge, nobody got hurt in the joint. I didn't like let off a shot or, smack anybody or nothing. And they got the money back.
They never found the gun,
double
right?
digits, you know what I'm saying? Like later they did, but it was never, it was never used. But just the presence of it being there makes it a violent.
So you didn't get to hide. You couldn't hide nothing.
Nah, they was all over. They was all over the building, all over.
And you didn't get to spend $2, huh?
Nah, man. But that's it. That's what it is. That's the gamble.
Yeah.
You're trying to take.
So you went to jail, right?
Yeah.
How was it? You never been to jail. How did you feel going into the prison system?
When I initially got locked up before I got bailed out was when I first started to kind of acclimate because I didn't know I was getting out. My bail was $250,000. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't know when I was getting out or what. So I started to kind of assess the lifestyle and kind of get in, and then coming in, of course it was still an adjustment because I had never been in that situation. I never even been to bookings or nothing like that, so of course it was an adjustment, feeling myself out. But like I tell people when they ask me, in my opinion, I mean everybody has their own opinion about jail based on their own viewpoint and what they go through. To me, the way I see it is, it's like life. You know what I'm saying? What you into in the street, you're gonna be into there. So what I see people get into a lot of drama because they gamble, you know what I'm saying, or they gangbang, or they stealing, or whatever they doing.
You are 100% correct.
The energy to you. I wasn't involved in none of that, so everything was whatever.
Was you scared?
I was nervous. Yeah, I mean, first, I'm not coming in with no connects. I'm not part of a gang. I don't have any protection.
You don't know nobody.
Yeah, I'm 5'50", so to me, it's like, it's just what it is. But I mean, yeah, and people, they came up to try to get me and get down with shit, and all it is just like, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And fortunately, I had some, some differences of opinion with some dudes, you know what I'm saying? But it never, fortunately for me, it never came to blows, it never came to nothing crazy. And after a while, when you want to tear, and you get acclimated to the people there and stuff like that, then you can move. You know how to move. I'm a quick study, so I learned how to move, and
Yeah, right.
you know what I'm saying? But yeah, initially, I was like, man, I didn't know what to expect.
I know your family was scared, because I'm just thinking, like, if some of my family, they don't got a link to the streets.
Yeah.
And then have to go to jail, I'd be worried about them. Like, damn.
Yeah. But like I said, it's just like life. If you're a follower, or you're a pushover, or you don't have confidence or something like that, just like life, you get taken advantage of. And there, of course, people are gonna try. You just gotta let them know where you at.
Right.
That's all.
You might have never been there before, but you're gonna wake up.
Yeah,
you know what time it is.
It's not a game.
Real quick. You got no choice.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
To be honest, it's live or die.
Fortunately, I made the best of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I went to school for things. I did electrical training in my second year. I went to culinary a couple years after that, and I started writing.
Right.
That's where I wrote my first book. My first book in 2008 was when I first started which I released later, Flame of Retribution, which I had on the show last time, based on the Sean Bell shooting and other police shootings. And I wrote a book of short stories, I wrote a show. So I kept myself busy, you know what I mean? I kept myself busy and started to create. So for me, you know, even though it was a tough time being away from my family and, you know, my daughter, it was, when I went away, it was 15 months. My wife, that was tough, but I see it as positive in the way that it made me productive and pointed me in the direction of what I feel like I'm really here to do.
Yeah, prison's gonna make you or break you.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? You either gonna learn from it and get your life in order, you know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to go through that again.
Nah, it's definitely.
Or it's gonna break you with dudes and they're gonna be sunning you,
Yeah.
and you're gonna have a rough time.
Yeah.
But you said something real smart about prison, and I tell people this all the time. Because you do a bid a year or 20 years, you don't have to have problems in there. There's things that put you in trouble. You know what I'm saying, Doc? Like gambling, homosexuality, and
Even interacting in sports though.
certain little things, TVs, certain sports, certain little things.
Sports because a dude you foul him or dude,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? If you say you got next.
Yeah, anything. Anything. You know what I'm saying? But the thing about it is, like, I spent 7 months in the county before I got sent downstate. And because it's Jersey, so we said downstate. You know what I mean? But the difference is that if you're doing a long bid, you know, people got like 5 years and up. The key is you really want it to be smooth as possible. You want to be able to get your food. You want to be able to get the little perks that you get. You can't do that if you start in trouble.
And the key is you don't want to get no extra time. Because I know dudes that came in there with 2 years and wound up getting 10 on top of that. Because they got to altercation and they put work in. But you don't put work in, then you go back to court.
Right, exactly. Because the thing is, you know, a fight don't have to be simple. I remember a kid that I knew. We had like iron bunks or steel bunks, man. The kid that I was next to, I found out a couple years later, got in a fight in the cell, hit his head, and he died, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so a fight, you know, having a fight in there doesn't mean it's gonna be simple. You don't know how that joint's gonna turn out. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So you try to stay away from that as far. I mean, I seen dudes get poked up, I seen dudes get knocked out, I seen people get jumped by police, stomped out, people end up on life support. So it was real. Don't get it twisted, like it was real. Yeah. But you know, like it's how you move, it's how you trying to move, what you trying to do. Yeah. You know, and that's how I played it.
So you finally came home?
Yeah, I came home the end of 2013, December 2013.
Okay. So how did you feel? You home? You got your freedom back. What's the first thing you did when you came home?
Well, the first thing was really like to build with my daughter. And, you know what I'm saying? I like being there, and that was the thing, build with my wife and daughter. Because I've been away at this point. My daughter was about to turn 8, so you know there was a lot of time lost. And I basically was just trying to feel it out because I got a chance a couple years before to be in a halfway house, and that was the first time I got a chance to work on the street. And after being locked so long, especially where I was at, because it was like 22-2, like, you know, because of all the gang fighting down there, you wasn't allowed to move around like that. So you was really locked in your cell unless you had school or something like that. The movements were moved to a certain thing and then it's locked down. That's how it was. So after years of doing that, coming on the street and seeing people, it kind of bugged me out, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was nervous around crowds of people because I've been acclimated to just being on tiers.
So your wife held you down?
Oh, yeah. So, you know, definitely that. And, you know what I'm saying? That was a big part of, you know, having the support system and stuff like that. You know, that was it.
Yeah, because you was in the States, so you was able to come to visit.
Not New Jersey.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, not New Jersey. Yeah, but you know, the visits helped. When I was in the county, of course, there was no contact, and then you know, but it was a long way. It was like 5 hours each way for her, so I didn't get to see her all the time. You know, since she was still over here in New York, and I was up there, almost close to Atlantic City, because the first jail was like near Trenton, which is like Central Jersey, and then later I got shipped to Southwoods, which is almost Philly, you know, near this. Yeah. So, yeah, it was real. It was real.
So you came home and you got a job. What you started?
Actually, it took me a while to get a job because having that on my jacket. I mean, I went up for certain things, and then it would just be a dead end because you know that it's a felony for one, and you know what it is, and so it's like that was really difficult. So that even led me more in the direction of, all right, I got to do something for myself.
People found out about your crime, said, this dude here taking money. We ain't.
Exactly. I'll never forget because I thought I was gonna cook.
Yeah.
Because I was really into cooking and I was studying culinary and stuff like that. So I came. There's a casino up there, and they were opening a new restaurant. And the chef really liked me, and I thought I was gonna be cooking for him. And fingerprints got sent in, and it was a wrap, man.
You think cooking, you think that wouldn't affect it?
Well, just being in the casino though.
That's
you
the
know what I'm
thing.
saying. That's the thing. You know what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
like you never know how they're gonna assess that and look at it. You know, a lot of people just don't want to deal with that problem right off rip.
Did you get frustrated and felt that, you know what I'm saying, you never like wanted to be like, man, I'm ready, you know what I mean?
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, it started to come out like, the thoughts start to come in like, yeah, I'm gonna do this better this time. But you know, to be completely honest, man, that's where I was able to learn that I had matured, because under that same kind of pressure that has sent me that direction before, now I was able to be patient.
But you know what though, the reason why it's easy for you to come home and do the right thing, you never got a chance to get that money. That's like a street dude. Yeah, that's like a street dude getting money in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
He had the taste of that. You didn't really get the taste.
Yeah.
You couldn't taste it.
Well, maybe that's. I've said that. Maybe that's why I went away. Because if I would have got away with it, man, it would have been like heat. I would have been doing that joint every
You
month.
got open. But the simple fact
Yeah, no
of
doubt.
the joy is like, I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
But somebody like getting money in the streets, or somebody did robberies, and they seeing that money behind it, they get used to it. So
That was probably another blessing.
That's what
Like
it
we
was.
saying, yeah, I agree too. I agree with you saying that. If you got to spend that money and then you finally got caught,
Yeah.
then you know that thing get you a little riled up a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
No, okay, yeah, you're right. No, I agree.
So let's talk about your book, man.
Yeah, man. This is the Bates Theory. This is my new book, came out about 2 months ago, and this is a little different from what I did the first time. The first book I did, even though it was based on real events, was fiction. This book is nonfiction, meaning that it's either self-help or autobiography, stuff like that. And what I wanted to do with this book is I wanted to examine, as it says, a guide to overcoming toxic mothers and male codependency. So I wanted to talk about some of the things that mothers do to their sons that are toxic, that can shape them in a negative manner, and some of the things that older men are doing along the mama's boy lines that can hold them back and mess with them in relationships and their self-worth. So I wanted to tackle those two things at the same time and dig into that, because I felt like it was important for male and female relations, and also important for our community. You know what I'm saying? For our people, like, relations between us, communication between men and women right now is just crazy, man. It's like, in my opinion, it's at an all-time low. And I felt like, man, if they understood us, if women could understand men better, then that communication would be better. And what better way to start, what better place to start with our relationship with the first woman in our life, our mother.
So he says a guide to overcoming toxic mothers. So what you mean toxic mother? Give me an example.
Man, there's so many things. Of course I probably didn't cover every way, but I tried to cover a lot of things that I thought, many people could relate to. Mm-hmm. Manipulation. And if we're talking about young, and I do talk about your mother still being involved when you're older, but if we're talking about young, guilt tripping, violence, extreme violence, neglect, sexual abuse, bringing different dudes around that abuse you physically or sexually, a number of things that can, or just the mother almost treating the child like it's her man, putting responsibilities on him that should be for an adult male, hearing her problems, earning money for her, protecting her, like those kinds of things are toxic, because it doesn't allow a child to be a child, and now they're skipping over their natural childhood to step into a role which should be your man or your husband's role, and so it creates an unnatural, improper relationship between mother and son.
That's deep, because you know what? No, that's what you're saying right now is deep, because you made me think of something when you said that. Mm-hmm. When I was little, I always heard, "You the man of the house."
Yeah.
I'm the man of the house. I'm 8 years old.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking I'm the man of the house. But how am I gonna be the man of the house? You understand what I'm saying?
Impossible.
Now that you're older, like, but you I'm sure you heard it.
Yeah.
You the man of the house,
I heard
right?
it, 'cause I grew up with a bunch of women. So.
Yeah, well, me too. And then, I never had pops around. We won't get into all that, but so what you mean by the abuse part?
Well, that's what I wanted to talk about because, as men, this is what makes young boys different from young girls. Both of us could grow up in toxic homes, but the difference between a young boy is that because he's going to grow into a man and he has the foundations, the blueprint of being a man, he's going to try to step into that role for you, even if he's not prepared.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so he's going to try to figure out 8, 10, 12 years old, how can I get money from mom? He don't know, but he's going to give it a shot because he wants to prove that he's a man, even though he's not ready. So, of course, and we know, being from the street, you hear it all the time, exposing him to dangers because he don't know what's going on, because he's trying to step into a role that his mother should have a man in. And so, that's abuse.
Yeah.
A lot of times we just think of abuse as a physical, which of course is big in our community and we're used to, but there's also psychological abuse, manipulation. Like, you got to do this for me. You got to help mom out. Like, he's not prepared to do that.
Yeah.
And now because you're damaging him because you're making him step into a role that he's not ready for.
Yeah.
And so what happens with us is that for many of us, we accelerate our growth. We jump over the childhood part to go straight to the man part. So we're not allowed to naturally shed childish behaviors like we would along the way. Instead, we just go straight to the money, go straight to having sex early. And because of that, we think we're grown. And then when we get hit with other psychological things, it proves to us that we're really not grown, and then there's a shock there, like, or better yet, you're dealing with a woman and she sees childish behavior in you, and you don't even know you exhibiting childish behavior because you haven't been allowed to grow up properly. So that's one form of abuse in itself.
You're right about that because I'm thinking, you grow up in the streets, and whatever your situation is with your pops, whether he's around, but he's not around, or he's never been around, it's the fact that you feel you got to take care of your mom. So you start doing things to take care of your mom, and a lot of things that you most times try to do to take care of your mom is illegal. Mm-hmm. Like, I know a lot of dudes start hustling because, I got to make sure my mother, my mom's ain't working, so I got to bring food in the house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or I got to get my mother a crib. You hear about your mother more than you hear about before your kids sometimes. Keeping it real. Me coming up, it's always my mother.
Yeah.
So, but it's always going to be your kids at the same time. But that is a little abusive because that's the thing that go to our head, and you just don't think about the consequences. Yeah. You know that I got to do for mom. But I never thought about that. That's smart.
It's a manipulation. It's a manipulation because now not only are you not getting to live your childhood, and but now you're having an improper relationship with mom because now you're trying to be what her mate should be. Mm-hmm. You understand? And so now both of you are not allowed to grow properly because now you're bonded to mom and she's not having a man a lot of the time. She has you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if a man does step in, now there's going to be friction there because you see baby boy, right? Because
they look at you.
You know what I'm saying? Right? Yeah. But the thing is, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
It's not her fault. It's not his fault. It's her. She sets the tone for where you are and how much of a role you play with her. And so all of those things, there's a lot of things that I speak about in here that I didn't experience personally, but because I saw them or I wanted to speak for dudes who are going through it and living through it, I tried to cover as much as I could. And you know what? I realized how much this is needed because after talking about it, friends of mine have called me and revealed their stories. People I've known for 20, 25 years, man, and didn't know what they were going through with their mother. And so I know that there needs to be a platform for men to be able to talk about how they feel about their mothers, even older. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if your mother has done abuse to you in this way, psychological or whatever, odds are she's probably still doing it. So even as an adult male, that doesn't mean you're free from it because you got your mother right there interfering in your relationships, draining on your finances, interfering in your finances. Like there's a lot of ways that you could still be stuck and held back because mom refuses to grow up and be a real woman and deal with a real man, and you're sitting there filling a role for her. So I try to hit as many things as possible about improper symbiotic relationships that hold us back.
I see is 125 pages here.
Yeah.
I think, can you give like a backstory on that? Because I think that's, in my opinion, I think it's good.
Yeah.
I think more people will be quick to read it.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking.
It used to be 400 pages.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing about it is like, I was concerned. I did a little research to see how long a lot of self-help books are. But I wanted to keep them short because my first novel was 3 times that much. It was in the 300s. But this is different. This is not for pleasure. This is self-help. So I wanted it to be the kind of thing where a person could refer back real quickly. They could remember a lot of stuff real quickly and not feel like overwhelmed to the point where like, man, I can't finish this drink. Like I wanted it to be something that they could digest really fast. And so I felt like that number was cool. 10 chapters, that length was cool. And everybody that I've talked to so far seems to really, really enjoy it and say that it's needed. Man.
So what's the difference between, as far as sales, the first book to this one? You said the first book had like 300 something pages.
Yeah.
And this was short.
Yeah, I mean, this is a lot of my sales come from just straight up direct. I mean, I'm still working around the online thing, commercials and things like that. I'm doing an expo this Saturday in Brooklyn. So you check my page and find out the address for that. Street got a long name, I can't remember it right now. But yeah, so I'm doing things like that. I've kept it, but yeah,
Pop-up shop.
good. Yeah, pop-up shops. But it's been great, man. The response, I can tell the response is definitely needed. It's just a matter, and I plan to start speaking on this subject in addition to the book. Having seminars or whatever, talking about the subject and giving question and answer, give people
that's
have
good.
an opportunity
Cool.
to talk about their feelings, because it's out there, man. It's out there, and men are dealing with these things. And what makes us different is like I had the discussion yesterday. Shout out to Michelle Caravallo. I was on her page. What makes this different is because women go through many issues coming up too, but the difference is they have a lot of voices where they can get those feelings out. Their girlfriends talk, they got podcasts, they got shows. We don't talk, man. We get together, we talk about sports, you know what I'm saying? We talk about, nonsense things a lot of the times. We don't talk about anything deep, especially if we're gonna talk about against mom. A lot of men will get defensive just you saying that. Like, nah, what you mean? You're supposed to always love your mother. Just talking about what may have affected you negatively doesn't mean you don't love your mother, man.
Right.
It means that you're being real about a relationship, any relationship. You got a friend, you got a romantic relationship, you should be able to assess whether that relationship is healthy. And if you can't assess it without damaging the relationship, it can be real. Yes, you should be able to check the person that you're in a relationship with, any relationship, and be able to, is the person I'm in a relationship with harming me or helping me? Are they holding me back or are they pushing me forward? And that's what I wanted to do with this book. This isn't an opportunity to bash women. I go over that a couple of times to make sure women know where I'm coming from, because you know how it is. Nowadays, you get canceled real quick trying to bash women. That's not what this is about. I got a lot of women friends. I have 2 daughters. You know what I'm saying? So it's not that at all. What it is, we're talking about toxic mothers specifically. Mothers who do harmful behaviors to their sons when they're young, when they're weak, when they're dependent on them, and continue to manipulate their sons and take advantage of their sons when they're older. That's what we're talking about.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So, did your mother read the book? How she feels about the book?
Man, I gave her the book like 2 months ago. I haven't spoken to her since. Real talk, man.
She tight, huh?
Yeah, I mean, the first night she was saying different things about different points, like why'd you say this, why'd you say that, and the first thing was like how this is gonna make me look to outsiders. And I'm like, that right there is exactly what I mean. That's toxic. Your son is pouring his heart out and talking about how he feels about certain things. Even if my perspective is different from your perspective, we're going to come together by a conversation. Getting defensive means that you're thinking more about how you're going to be seen rather than how your son feels. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, you know what I'm saying? And many mothers are like that. As soon as you try to challenge them or challenge something, it's like you're going against, you trying to slay the dragon. Like, that's big.
Yeah.
But once you direct, because I know you said it was like a non-fiction.
Yeah. No. I talked about, when you're dealing with this kind of thing,
Like,
there's only 2 ways that you can get people, in my opinion, 2 ways that you can get people to feel like they should trust you with your assessments and understanding. Either you have a title behind your name, like a doctor, a PhD, or something like that, or you share your personal experiences.
Right.
In my space, I'm sharing my personal experiences, so I kept it real. You understand what I'm saying? And
So she had a problem with that.
yeah, you know what I mean. And I hope that we're able to build it in a way that we could come together. But the reality is, it's not about you.
did you try reaching out to her?
Nah, I mean, I'm available. The door is open. You know what I'm saying?
Did she
It's
feel?
nothing-
Did
it's
she
like-
feel that you targeted her or something like that?
It's possible, but you know, it wasn't even like, if you read the book, you'll realize that I didn't even say like she was a bad mother. What I did was I pointed out specific examples. Like for instance, there's a chapter called Love and Violence, where I want to examine the complicated relationship that many of us as sons have between someone that we love that's also violent with us. And how does that affect us growing up in our viewpoint of ourselves? How does that affect us in our viewpoint of women? And you'd be a fool to think that that doesn't affect you. If your parents on a regular basis hit you, smacked you, hit you with objects, and that's how you came up, which many of us came up that way. To think that that doesn't affect you and your viewpoint of yourself and your viewpoint of women is foolish. And so in examining that, it's like, yo, how could you reveal what goes on in our house? And I'm like, yo, it's not about that. It's about getting other people. That's just like saying if a woman was raped or taken advantage of, and it's like, yo, how could you reveal that? Like, the reality is certain things hurt a person emotionally, and they're trying to connect with other people that might have experienced the same thing, so we could get to the next level. And I feel like that's one of the things that holds our people back more than anything, because in our culture, there's a culture of secrecy, but it's secrecy about the wrong shit. You know what I'm saying? You being secret about abuse, you being secret about cheating, you being secret about what's really going on in your house, and who does that benefit? At the end of the day, we all have all of these horror stories that we came up with, and because of that, we held back emotionally.
Yeah.
And a lot of us don't even know we're held back emotionally. And so the point of me doing this book is not to bash, the point is to open a doorway so that many men could be like, damn, I experienced that too. And that's what's happened. People have called me and been like, yo, my mom was crazy, she did this and that. And I'm like, damn, I didn't even know they went through that. And I've been dealing with you for 25, 30 years. So it goes to show you how deep the secrecy is in our community with that kind of thing.
So did you tell your mom ahead of time what type of book you was writing, or it came out and it's like this? You said, "Oh, come on."
No, I didn't tell her ahead of time. And the funny thing about it was, I don't even remember how I decided to do this. It was one of those kind of things like, I wasn't here sitting like, yo, my next book wasn't even gonna be this. It was gonna be, the first book that I wrote had 2 more parts to it. So I started writing that, and then I started writing a play after I directed my first play. And, you know, just from being online a lot of the times and seeing the conversations and posts about men and stuff like that, I was like, damn, man, the communication between us is really bad, yo. And it's like, women don't really understand where we coming from. A lot of them don't understand what we've experienced before we come out the house and start dating them. Seeing people die, not having dad in our family, extreme abuse. Well, for a lot of us, that's a lot of our story. That's regular.
Yeah.
So, like, if they understood where we're at psychologically, then they might have a little bit more understanding about why we lack certain things, or why it takes us a long time to open up, or why our finances are not right, or why we close up when we feel like all of those things are rooted in something. And we got to get to the root of it if we ever want to get over that and get to the next level.
So how did your little brother felt about that?
I haven't heard him talk for it. I don't know if he read it or not. I haven't spoken to him about that. I haven't heard anything. So, you know, I'm just, you know, that's what it is.
So somebody wanted to get this book, The Bates Theory.
Yeah.
Where could they get it at?
So you just go, The Bates Theory, that title is a page on IG and also on Facebook. So you just go to that page and DM there, and we get your information. We'll get one out to you, a signed copy out to you. That's how we're doing it. Straight to the customer.
You're doing it straight up.
Yeah, man. We'll get it to people. So The Bates Theory on here, on my personal page, Brave Broadway, one word, at IG. Either way, you can DM me there and we can get you a copy.
That's what's up. But we want to thank you for coming to the show, man. You know,
I appreciate you.
Always a pleasure to see you.
It's good to see both of y'all, man.
I want y'all to support
Definitely
my
go
man.
support the book.
Yeah, thank you. The Bates Theory, available on the Bates Theory page on Facebook and IG. Just send a DM there and we'll get a copy to you. And pop-up shop in Brooklyn today, Saturday and Sunday, this weekend, matter of fact. So visit my page there to find out the address and the times for that.
And can you tell everybody what podcast show you on right now, bro?
Oh man, you already know, man. 139 The Beat, Harlem, all day, man.
Yeah. The big 139.
Man,
Good to see you, bro.
That like and subscribe button.
Good to see you too, man.
Exactly.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank you for
it.
coming to the show, man. I want y'all to support this brother. it's a good brother right here, man. You know, this is a good read right here.
Thank you.
You know,
Thank you. I appreciate
we
that.
got to get to the surface, you know, before we really understand why you're doing things out here, you know, with your family, with your girls you meet, all that's just very good. This is definitely something to read. You know what I'm saying,
That's
Doc?
support. You know,
Thank you.
know what
Appreciate
it is.
that, man.
Like, subscribe, share, tell a friend, tell a friend.
Harlem.
Follow our Instagram, the Beat139_Harlem.